Oh, hello, third graders. This is Mrs. Wallace, just here writing by the fire and enjoying my time. So I thought I would make a short little video here, hopefully short, to talk to you about your stories and to talk to you about my story, to try to help you to make sure that your story is a story. So I'm going to share with you some of my writing. I started writing this story last year during our writer's workshop, and I was inspired by Patricia Polacco's story about her older brother, Rotten Richie and the Ultimate Dare. And I ended up writing that day about my brother, John, even though he's not my older brother, he's my younger brother. I brought a little picture here to show you. This was my brother, John. He was probably about a year old here, maybe. But there he is, there I am. And it looks like I'm dancing with him. So I ended up writing about my brother, John, who's 4.5 years younger than I am. And when I originally started writing about him, I had all of these memories about him. I started writing about how when he was born, I was really upset because I wanted a baby sister. And I remember crying to my mom about that. And I wrote about in my writer's notebook, it's all in here, about when John and I used to dance. I used to make him, I was really into ballet when I was really young, and I would get all dressed up in my tutus, and I would put him in a tutu, and I would teach him some dance, and we would perform it in front of my family. I remembered we would go swimming a lot as a kid. We swam. He was like my little swimming buddy, and we swam all the time. One time he jumped on my back. I wrote this in here, in the deep end of our pool, and he wasn't allowed in the deep end, and he jumped on my back and almost drowned me, but my mom saved us. And I remember one time when we would play this game in the bathtub where we would fill the bathtub up with soap on the bottom or shampoo, and we played this game called Slippy Slide, and we would slide around, and I can't believe we never got hurt doing that. And then that made me write about another time whenever he ended up shaving his legs. I didn't teach him or anything. He just, I don't know, saw me doing it or saw my sister doing it or something, and ended up shaving his legs and his arms. So just these random memories that I have in my head. All of these memories, if I were to put them together in a story, it would just be a collection of memories. It wouldn't be a roller coaster, a plot. It wouldn't be a story. All right. So when we've talked about stories, they need a plot. They need a beginning, a middle, and an end. It can't just be a stream of memories. So we want it to have a plot roller coaster with a beginning, a middle where there's like a problem or something wrong, and then in the end, it's all resolved and better. But in writing about my brother John, I realized that my plot roller coaster looked more like this. See how all these events, it's more just like a flat roller coaster. There's no event, there's no climax to the story. It's just a bunch of little events happening. So when I looked at the story, I realized I needed to create a roller coaster. And so in order to do that, I had to put some fiction in. I had to go and I had to look at all of those events, and I had to say, well, my character, me in the story, needed to have something happen that was either something went wrong or she was upset about something and she learned a lesson. Because as we know, characters in stories, they change. If they don't change, it's just a very, very boring story. It's more like reading somebody's journal. So we want our character to have like some sort of problem and then figure out how to solve that problem or realize something. So I sat and I thought, and I brought this to my kids in our workshop last year, and I really had to think a long time, and I had to say to myself, what was I going to add that was fiction in this to make this a story? So I ended up creating a problem, and that when John was born, I remember I was upset that he was not going to be a girl, but I made that a major problem, that I was really upset that he was a boy, and I held on to that. And my whole childhood with him, I kept trying to make him be my sister. And then in the end, I knew I wanted my character to like decide that it was okay that John was a boy and that John was my brother. And that's what I wanted her to learn. But I had to figure out how I was going to do that, how I was going to create this problem, and what was the climax of the story going to be. So it really wasn't something that I could just sit down at one time and just write this story. So I had to write it in several parts. And I had to change it many times, and I'm still in the process. This is still what I have, is still a draft. So in the next part of this video, I'm going to share with you what I have as of now. It's still not done, but you'll be able to see that I added things in there that did not happen when I really wanted to have a really good climax to the story. And when I told my students about the time John jumped on my back and almost drowned me, my students' eyes got really big. They liked that part. They wanted more of that part. And so I knew that that had the potential to be the climax of my story. But I had to put some fiction in there to make it better. If I told the story as it just was, it would have been John jumped on my back and pushed me under the water. And then my mom jumped in and saved us, and it was fine. But I knew that I wanted to make it more dramatic. I really wanted to worry. I wanted my readers to be worried and upset, so that whenever he was okay, then they would feel happy about it. And then they could see that my character learned a lesson. So this next section, I'm going to be reading this to you. So get yourself cozy. It is not perfect. It is not Patricia Polacco. I am not a published, amazing, award-winning writer. I'm just learning how to do it just like you guys are. So in the next part of the video, that's what I'm going to be doing.